Welcome to COMM 231. This is our next assignment to do a background picture. What you see on my screen is what is the outcome. So eventually, by the end of this video, you'll see how you create a background picture that is black and white and one element is colored. And I would like you to submit to either the V Drive or Blackboard those 4 files. So one is going to be the original file with your last name as a JPEG, and we're going to see how to find it. Then the actual Photoshop file with your last name, Photoshop file, and saved as a PSD because we might need to work on that later. And then the 2 actual outcomes that I'm looking for is one is the background picture in the resolution for the web, which is 2480 on 1748, and that's a horizontal one. And then the vertical one for when you're going to do your resume in InDesign, your last name InDesign background picture as a JPEG, and that's going to be 2480 on 3508. So first of all, to find even the picture that you want. So you might take a picture a background picture of your ideal place from a place that you travel to or you like. Or like me, you can just go online and find a picture. So how do you do that? So I want like a field. So I'm going to Google Images, and on search tools, I'm making sure looking for a large one because I want one that would be large enough. So you can see here that it's like with copyright, and so what I'm going to see is here's one that is not copyright. I'm going to click on it. Here I can see the actual image, view image, but I want to see the page to see who actually owns it, and this is the person who owns it. And then I can look at the license and what I'm allowed to do with it, and what are like the Creative Commons usually attributes. So I'm gonna save the name of the person, and then I'm gonna download this picture with the name of the person. So I'll remember that that's the attribute that I need to remember. I'm gonna save it onto the desktop, and the format, well, here it's not the right format, so I need to save it as a JPEG. So I need to go and download it, and I did it already. So we're going to go and see here. You see, this is the original one, background picture by Scuba. So the next step is to start Photoshop. So I'm going to open Photoshop. So you can either open it like that, or you can open on your bar here. And so this is the picture. And in order to start working on it, I'll need to see that I'm here on the cursor, not on the text. And I want to make it black and white, but I want one element to stay. So the idea here is that we're going to duplicate this layer, and we're going to erase all the background, leaving just the element, which is the tree in my case, and then all the rest will be black and white. So in order to do that, I need to duplicate this layer. So I'm going to layers, and I'm doing to duplicate layer. Okay, and that's going to be the background copy. Okay, but the background copy is up, so it needs to be down. So I'm lowering it down. Here I'm opening this one, unlocking, and putting here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to layers, and I'm going to rename layer, and here I'm going to call it color. So I know that this is the one that I'm going to work on. Then the next step is to make the lower one as black and white. So I'm going to image, I'm going to adjustments, and then in adjustments I'm going to black and white. And then I might want to work on that, but I just need to do OK. And then the lower one is in black and white. Now you can see here that it's black and white. If I'm taking off the upper level, you can see that it did change to black and white. But since I have 2 layers of the same picture, one colored, one not, we see the upper one. Always in Adobe, the upper one is dominant. So make sure which layer you're highlighting, this is the one you're working on. So now we're going to go back to the upper one, the color, and we're going to start to work on how to erase all the things besides the tree. And there are different ways of doing that. One of the easiest way of doing that is to choose the color that you actually wanted to stay, to keep it, and then have all the other one be cropped out of the picture. So I'm going to show you how to do this technique, and then I'm going to show you other techniques of changing the color. So what I'm going to select, then I'm choosing the color range, and then I use the eyedropper tool to select the preferred color that I want. So I want the tree, so I'm putting here the tree, and you see here that that's the color that it's going to do, and I'm doing OK. So you see that everything that has the color is being adjusted, but not everything is exactly as I wanted, so I'm going back to the color range, and I need to, because not all the tree is being covered, so I want more of the tree to be covered. And then I'm doing OK, and then I'm going to select, and then I'm going to inverse so that everything that is not green is going to be highlighted. Now everything that is not green has been highlighted, and now I'm going to press delete, and you can see that most of the picture have been deleted besides those little parts of the green. And I'm going to select and doing deselect to look at it. So you see there's a little bit of green here. Now it's not really strong, so what I can do is, still I'm on the color level. One way of doing it is to go to images, to go to adjustments, and to go to color balance, and then I can have a little bit more green, and you see the green is much stronger, and that's one way of highlighting the green out of all the black and white. So this is one option that you can do. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back and show you other options of doing the same thing. Another options to do it is to take here the eraser, and here you can choose what size of the eraser you want to have, and then you just start to erase, and you see the picture beneath with black and white will appear, so you can just go and just delete everything. But you need here, like if that's the tree, so you'll need to make sure that you're leaving a place that would secure that it's not, and as you see you can do that. So that would be just really go back, and here you can choose the size. You can make it really big, but you see what happened. And you can make it really small if for example you want to get here more into it. You see here the size is 50%. I'm putting it as 500%, and now it's much bigger, but I want to get to the actual tree, and here I want to start erasing all the little parts. So that's another options of erasing, really getting into a small, and here you see there is still like blue parts, so I'm making it really transparent. So that's one way of really doing it pixel by pixel, kind of erasing, and you see here I already had it black and white when it should be like color. So that's another option that you can do to erase the upper picture. Now we're going to go back and I'll show you a third options of doing that. One of my favorite options is to use the magic tool, and here what you can do is just highlight parts that it identify as the same color and just then delete them. And it makes it much easier. Now you see I'm not on the right layer, so that's why I don't see anything. I need to go up, and then I need to choose, and then it will be black and white. So you need to be careful when you're using this tool that it won't highlight the part of what you would like to highlight. See, it makes it much easier when it kind of identify the parts that you want to do without the tree. Now, if it does use the tree, then it's problematic. But here you see it kind of go beyond the trees. And we have here this layer. So I would do it in little chunks so that you make sure that it doesn't include parts that you don't want it to include. We're gonna add the credit for the photo itself. So we're going to here the text, and here we're just putting it. Now it's really small, so I cannot see really, and you see it adds another layer of text with the T. So in order to make it bigger, you see it's 12 font. I'm going to make it much bigger, and then I can adjust to another side. So I put photography by, and then I look to the person's name, or if there's no name, so the website. Make sure you spell it correctly, and then you add semicolon photoshopped by, and then you can put your first name or last name. So you don't see it now. I'm here gonna move it, and then I can choose to put it in a different name or different color, so I can go back to the text and have it in a different color. Now remember, this is going to be your background picture. So what happened is, if it's too big and taking too attention, like I wouldn't put it here up, I would actually put it down and make it much smaller. So you see that the color needs to be a little bit brighter, and then I want it to be much smaller because I don't want it to take too much attention when people are reading my resume or looking at my website. But I need to give the tribute to the person who actually took the picture. So this is how it should look like. Now we need to save. So first of all, we go to Save As, and saving it as a Photoshop. You see here, I saved it already before, but you make sure that the layers and everything, because if you want to take out or change something in it, re-edit it, you need it as a PDF file. So you're going to save it. Here it's going to ask me to replace, but it has your last name, Photoshop file, and then PSD. So it's saving the file. Then you need to save it in 2 different proportions. So I'm going to image, and I'm going to image size, and making sure you see it's not in the right resolution. It's like 300, but here the width needs to be 2480 on 1748. And this is, once it's resizing it, it looks small, but here we're only at 21%, so we can put it on 50%. This is going to be the background of the website. And so I'm going to File, I'm going to Save As, and this time I'm saving it as last name, background pic. You can write on the web or not. Make sure you don't save it as a Photoshop, but actually as a JPEG this time. It won't have the layers, that's why we save it as a Photoshop, and you do Save. So again, it's going to replace, always quality maximum at 12. And now you're going to save it for the InDesign. That's where you're going to use your resume. So you go to Image, Image Size, and then we're changing. It's 2480, but the height is going to be 3508. Again, 300 resolution. So it's going to change a little bit the way that it looks because it's going to be vertical. Okay, so you see it here, and then you save it as the InDesign background, your last name, InDesign background picture, not as Photoshop, but as JPEG, and you do save. Always maximum quality. So I saved all my picture on Photoshop. Now I have all the 4 files that you need to submit for this assignment, and now you go to your V drive. So on a PC it might be a little bit different. On a Mac you go to Connect to Server, you go here to Web Files, you do Connect, and you go to Coursework, and here you would find the actual V drive. On Students, if you click on, you would find your folder, and then in your folder you're just going to copy and move those 4 in the folder. So it might ask you for your password, and then that's how you submit it, and on Blackboard you just say that you submitted it. So I hope if you have any question you can contact me.